Hello, my Teaserking family. Let's try this again. My apologies. I don't know. I'm at a hotel. I get that same internet was gone. Here they probably have limited internet, and then all the people at the hotel are using it, even though it's 11:30. You wouldn't think that many people are using it now. Anyway, let's continue. So let's go back. We'll start with baseball. So the first one, I have my banker story. The banker doesn't know what gold is. So just to recap that, at the golf course, I'm having a hamburger. The guy next to me is a banker, and he doesn't understand gold. Now, you say you're a banker. How do you not understand gold? And it's really perplexing that the banker doesn't get. The banker knows that he doesn't know what he's doing. So he's sitting there going, well, we'll hope for the best. We'll hope they can balance the budget. They can't even do a treasury sale on the T-bills. Nobody buys. You've got a $37 trillion. I'm explaining this to him. Then he goes, well, what's your background? And I master's in Austrian economics, which I'm sure went over his head, in corporate finance. Then he asked me how old I am. And I'm like, well, what difference does that make? Well, the older people are more into that. The younger people are more into Bitcoin. That's because they don't want to work. They want to do something for nothing. They just want to invest in Bitcoin and watch it go up. They don't know why. They don't know when to sell. They don't realize it's worthless. So what can you do with these people? So I at the end, I just said, well, he said, oh, I'll look into gold. I'll ask my financial guys on gold. They're not going to tell you. They don't know. That's the problem. Our little class, our little, not secret, but our reality is that we understand what's going on and we understand gold's the only way out, which is why I show you Egon and Mark McGuire, because they get it. The younger people are into Bitcoin. I asked him, are we going to get into stable coin? Are we going to need that? He didn't know. It was over his head. Well, I says, are we going to, I can't imagine us getting out of dollars because the mafia needs dollars for all the drugs and sex that they need. That's all done in dollars. So he was just lost, but he kept saying he's a banker, and I kept laughing at him going, I'm an economist. What was that? It doesn't either you know the stuff or you don't. I don't care that you're a banker. Only means you know more about money than if you're a lawyer, right? But it was over his head. So he's going to check it out. So I'll probably go back to that golf course and chip and putt. I did say I hit a full 9-iron for the first time in years, and it felt good, and I crushed it. And was hitting the green, and then I hit the flag stick once. So that was my thing. So we'll recap the baseball and we'll finish it up. So Houston, Detroit. I took Houston. Framber Valdez against Charlie Morton, 3 units. I went Miami against St. Louis, Palentine against Alcantara, both with like 5.5, 6 ERAs. I went over 8.5. Miami over 8.5. I took the JETSs with Kenga Senga, 7-4 to 2.35 against Brad Lord, 3-6 with the 3.26. So I took the Mets there. I got Atlanta over the White Sox. Hurston Waldrip, 3-0 with a 102 against Martin Perez, 1-2 with a 309. And then I took Tampa Bay against the Yankees. Cam Schittler, 1-2 with the 394 against Drew Rasmussen, 10-5 with the 260. I took Rasmussen. And now let's get back. Oakland Mini, JT Ginn, used to be quarterback at Ohio State, or Ted Ginn, or whatever his name is, against Bailey Omer, 4-7, 5-1-5. I have no interest. Texas, Kansas City. I don't know the pitchers. I got to wait. I don't want to go against DeGrom. Milwaukee and the Cubs. Milwaukee won 15-7. The Cubs won both games of the doubleheader. Jacob Mizorowski, 4-1 with a 3.89, goes against Colin Ray, who used to have a 2 ERA, now has a 4 ERA. Means he's been giving up a lot of runs lately. The Dodgers, Colorado, the Dodgers killed him yesterday. Ohtani, 0-0 with a 3.47 against Tanner Gordon, 3-5 with a 7.98. And what are you going to do? Bet the Dodgers and lay 300 to win 100? That's ridiculous. Cincinnati, California, 135.9. Nick Martinez, 10-9 with the 4.73 against Yusi Kikuchi, 6-8 with the 3.52. I have no interest here, although I think it'd be an over. And the 49ers and the Chargers play, and the Chargers are on the win streak. Landon Rupp for the Niners, 7-6, 3.45 against JP Sears, 7-10 with the 5.12. And here's where the streaks are hard to bet. You're on the streak, but you got a terrible pitcher. Their pitcher's okay. So we'll go San Diego on the streak, 2 units. And then let's check the streak. And they don't last long because of all the different pitchers. So it's a weird thing. You like the streak. You get a Milwaukee and they win 13, 14 in a row. And that's what the value of the streak is. All right. The Yankees are on a 4-game win streak. We took Tampa. Boston's on a 3-game losing streak. Baltimore's on a 3-game winning streak. So we'll wait till they hit 4. So we should go with the Yankees today. Let's revisit that one. Kansas City's on a 5-game winning streak, so we're going to take Kansas City. Oh, yeah, but we don't know who the pitcher is, so we got to wait on that. And Seattle's on a 4-game losing streak. Let's see who Seattle is playing. They're playing Philly. Okay, I can live with taking Philly. Philly, 2 units. Luis Castillo, 8-6, 3.48. Luis Jesus Luzardo, 11-6, 4.21. I can live with that. I don't mind taking Philly. KC, we're waiting on the pitching. National League. Philly's on a 3-game winning streak. Okay, I'm fine with that. The Mets are on a 3-gamer. We got the Mets. Cincinnati's on a 3-gamer. We're leaving that alone. And that's everything else is 1-1-1. It's amazing how the streaks reset a lot. You know, they're on a 2 or 3 game, then they lose. Win, lose, win, lose. So basically that's what we've added was Philly on the streak. And that's about it. KC, Texas. So we're not taking the Yankees. Cam Schittler, Steve Schittler's brother, 1-2 at the 3.94 against Drew Rasmussen, 10-5. You know, Tampa is favorite. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right. So that be baseball again. Houston 3 units. Miami over 8.5 2. The Jets is 2. Atlanta 2. Tampa 2. San Diego 2. KC and Philly 2 units. KC, if they're not facing DeGrom or one of their aces, we'll take KC. Let's go to college football. Now, college football, I'm giving you this week plus the next week. So if you buy the college, it's $75 for all the picks and locks. It's going to give you this Saturday. There's 4 games, and then the following week there's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think a Monday night game. You get all that, whatever I pick. So the pick is posted. I posted it yesterday. And let's go through the line this weekend. We got Kansas State 349.5 against Iowa State in Dublin, Ireland. It's on at noon, big noon, which is what, 7 o'clock in Ireland. We're behind Europe. So in Russia right now, it's going to be noon. It'll be 7 o'clock Wednesday night in Moscow. Fresno State, Kansas, 12.5, 50.5. I really don't. let's just get the lines, and I'll kind of walk through what I can because it's all new and all these transfer portals. Week one is I can only use last year's info, which I will tell you, but I don't know how much. I think it's okay on some teams. On others, it just doesn't. Like Marshall, 47 players have left. So they got a new bunch of players, but who knows how they are. Sam Houston at Western Kentucky, 10.5, 61.5. And Hawaii, 2.5, 50.5 to Stanford. All right, that is Saturday's game. So I can tell you who the thing is. Hey, Titus. How are you, Titus? You doing okay? You ready for football, huh? All right. We'll see if we can make another 18 grand. So Kansas State, Iowa State's a pretty even game. Iowa State was an A team last year with the 21 defense. Rockleback's back. The coach we love, Montgomery, is back. So they're pretty just going, here's next year. Kansas State is a B team because their defense was a 29. Avery Johnson's their quarterback's okay, a little bit more of a runner. Iowa State's seen that enough with Oklahoma. 29 defense. The quarterback's back, Avery Johnson. The coach is back. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. I think it's a tight Big 12 battle, and it's very hard to blow out Iowa State. Kansas State, they weren't the same as they've been, but they're still okay. Avery Johnson, again, they just want to run the option with them. I think this is a close one. Kansas State's surprising with the 29 defense. Fresno State, Kansas. Fresno State was an E team with the 25 defense. However, Mikey Keene's now on Michigan. I don't know if he's going to start. I thought he was injured. So you have a new quarterback, E.J. Warner, Kurt Warner's kid, who didn't do a whole lot at Temple and Rice, and I'm surprised he's at Temple and Rice. Must not be that good to be at Temple and Rice. So now he goes to Fresno State, and they got a new coach. What can you say? You don't have a track record. There's no data. We can't give, trends or analysis on something we don't have. Just that Kurt Warner's kids, 15 touchdowns, 13 picks, nothing special. Kansas was an over team. They could score. They got a great coach. I think it's Lombard or something like that. The quarterback's back, another Jalen Daniels. More of an option runner. He can throw okay, but not great. But he gets hurt a lot. So he's back. Defensively, they're a 26 defense versus 25 at Fresno State. But, of course, they play in the Big 12, and they get to see Baylor's offense and TCU and Texas Tech and all that. Fresno State, maybe Boise's all they had last year. So we got Kansas with the same quarterback and coach. And I like Kansas. I like their quarterback and coach. I like the coach. I like Bean better. Bean, I see, is the fourth stringer on Indy. And we'll get into that in a minute. But, a big edge to Kansas. They're at home. They're laying 12. You got to lay 6. I don't know. Again, we got to see who Fresno State is. They're usually pretty good, but now they got another new coach, and Warner is not Kurt Warner. So we'll see. Stanford and Hawaii. Stanford was a W team, 33 defense. They got a new quarterback, and they get another new coach. And Hawaii was an E team. They have replaced their quarterback, and the guy wasn't bad. He was 7-0 last year, probably in the last couple of games, because I don't think they went to a bowl. And the coach, Timmy Chang's still there. That used to be the quarterback, so they're going to run that offense. I don't know. It's hard. Stanford, they've been terrible. And Hawaii, they're Hawaii. They usually have an advantage at home because you're all everybody's busy going to the beach, except for Hawaii's busy getting ready for the game. In our last game, Western Kentucky, Sam Houston. Sam Houston had it's all blanked out. They were an under team with a 20 defense. The coach went to Temple, I believe. Good coach, but they don't have a 20 defense anymore. They got the quarterbacks back, but he wasn't any good, and the new coach. So Sam Houston's going to be a lot worse this year. Western Kentucky, an E team, a 25 defense. So they have they're laying 10 and a 61. New quarterback from Abilene Christian. Help me with that one. And the coach is there. So normally they're a prolific passing offense. Their defense at 25. Sam Houston is not going to help you. So if you're thinking over, you're not getting help from Sam Houston. And their defense is not going to be at 20. Western Kentucky should have a good game against them, but we don't know who the coach is. And there's too much there that we just don't have a clue on. So the first week's going to be difficult. I have made a pick on one of these four. That's already in there. Your free pick for the cycle is going to be the Ohio State Texas under. Why? How did you arrive at picking that under, Titus? I'm here front and center. We're going to win more than that. Then there you go, Titus. Titus, I'm looking for six figures for you. I'm surprised you didn't hit me more because I had 3 weeks of 10-0 last year. I was hoping you hit 18 grand on all 3 of those weeks. So anyway, Ohio State, Texas under. I base looking at the teams. And so what you look at is, what is Texas? Great defense. Sorry, Arch Manning. You couldn't beat out Ewers. I'm not buying him until I see him. Just because he's Arch Manning doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. He's got good tools. He went to the Archie Manning quarterback camp, or the Peyton Manning camp. But why hasn't he done anything in 2 years? Ewers was hurt. He didn't do anything. He had 9 touchdowns and 2 picks. He runs a little too much. Ohio State, they got a rookie quarterback from Alabama who transferred in because he got beat out, so he's not very good. Couldn't beat out Milrose, who wasn't very good. So you have a guy that got beat out for the Alabama with a good coach to ground. And what's the coach's name? I can't think of it. The Alabama new coach from Washington. Anyway, so he got beaten out, so he transfers to Ohio State. So Ohio State's getting not the best Alabama quarterback. Where's Ohio State's quarterbacks? So I'm sitting there going, okay, Texas had a 13 defense. Ohio State had a 10 defense. 2 new quarterbacks. This is not where you want a new quarterback. You want a new quarterback to start playing Holy Cross or Colgate or Crest or one of the mouthwashes. You really don't want a new quarterback to be playing the first game against Texas or Ohio State with those defenses. Coaches are the same, although Matt Patricia is the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, and Chip Kelly is now the offensive coordinator of Oakland, not of Ohio State. Look for Oakland, look for the Raiders to score, but not Ohio State. I love Ohio State's coach. So what you have is two teams that are probably going to be under teams this year. Ohio State's got the young receiver, great receiver. They lost 2 good running backs and 3 or 4 other receivers and some linemen. So, okay, defense, they'll be good. Offense, and against Texas, this game's going to be won on interception returns and punt returns. You are not driving 80 yards against either of these defenses. So I don't see where the points are coming from. First one to 17 wins. The total on the game's 48. You go under 54. That's your free pick. Uh, visualize the game. Where are you going to get 54 points? It's like my Georgia games from a few years ago. Georgia's going to shut you out. Georgia's going to score their 30, so you're in the 30s. How are you going to get to the 50s? And those totals religiously were 50, 51, and I'm going under Georgia 56, 57, locking almost every week, wondering how are they coming up with these numbers? These numbers should be in the 40s. So I thank them, and we won a ton of money locking Georgia under. And this is a similar thing. Both these defense, 13 defense for Texas and a 10 for Ohio State. All right. Chip Kelly played on, he was the offensive coordinator, not the defense. So I just see that it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be a 3-3 at the half and, maybe a 17-10 game. And that's all so you're going to be in the 20s. We got 54. So that's your first free pick. Take it to the house. Absolutely. Go under Ohio State, Texas under. So if you buy the first week, you're going to get the first 4 games I just mentioned. And then you got this Texas-Ohio State game under. Now I will give you more of so that pick's out there, right? Go buy that. But you get both weeks. And so if you buy, you're getting the 4 plus the full second week, I guess. I don't know why they call it week 0. It's week 1. And then you got a full week 1.5 or whatever, 1B. So that's your free pick. Going down the list, I looked at the lines yesterday. So on the 28th, you got NC State, East Carolina. NC State 11.5, 60. You've got San Jose State 12.5, Central Michigan 51. Now a note on this game: the Navy coach Niamalu, who used to be at Navy's, now at San Jose State. So now it's like another Army-Navy game. The ironic part is they do play Air Force. If they do, the Air Force is going to have to play Army, Navy, and Navy B as San Jose State. So Air Force is going to be in trouble because they know how to defense them. San Jose State's playing much better with this guy's a good coach. I'm surprised nobody's grabbed the Army coach. He's outstanding. So keep that in mind. So San Jose State's basically Navy, behind the mask. Central, they're dealing. Both quarterbacks are returning. Central Michigan does have a new coach. His first time ever coaching. I'm leery about that they're just going to walk in like you don't need help. Even Spagnuolo is a perfect example. Great defensive coordinator. He was the head coach. What was it, the Giants or now Philly? He sucked. Just couldn't do it. He's a good defensive coordinator, as KC will say, but he's not a very good head coach. And it's not easy. And I don't think Ben Johnson or either of the Lion coordinators are going to be good coaches. Ben Johnson, he's an offensive play caller, which is basically I'm going to run and then run all these misdirections. That's all he does. Jared Goff was good at play action pass, so it worked, but Caleb's not, and Caleb doesn't even know what he's doing. So I don't see that lasting. And the guy who was coaching the Jets is terrible defensive coordinator. They gave up 30 points a game. So there's a big difference between being a good coordinator and being a coach. Once in a while it works. The most notable, Vince Lombardi was on the Giants staff with Tom Landry. Lombardi was the offensive coordinator, and Landry was the defensive coordinator. And they did pretty good coaching the Packers and the Cowboys. Those are the most notable exceptions to the rule. He said that he went to the defense meetings and I'm having internet problem. Okay, I'm back. I'm at a hotel and they must have weak internet. Nothing I can do. I was fine yesterday. We'll see what happens. It's more crowded. So I think that's what helped Lombardi and Landry. Lombardi was the offensive coordinator, but he had a great defense at Green Bay. And Landry was the defensive coordinator, had a great offense at Dallas and knew how to do the defense. So I would almost have Tom Brady or Joe Montana come into my defensive room and explain how they're looking at the defense to help strengthen the defense. I thought that was great. All right, let's go to bigger games. Boise, South Florida. Boise was an A team. Of course, they lost Gentry. Maddox, their quarterback, was good. 22 defense, South Florida 29. Both returning quarterbacks and coaches, so they should be pretty good. Over under on the game 64. We'll see how Boise replaces Gentry, but South Florida can score. They're a good offensive team. Big Nebraska, Cincinnati. Nebraska 7-52. Everybody's back, the quarterbacks and coaches. Raiola wasn't that great for Nebraska last year, but the coach is a good defensive coach, Matt Rule. So look at Nebraska probably as a defensive team, an under team. Cincinnati, I don't know what defense. We'll see what they are, but look Nebraska under, strong defense. Auburn, Baylor. Auburn with the new quarterback, and Hugh Freeze is the new coach. He's the one that I think was there when Auburn played Florida State, and they had that tricky offense. Baylor, great quarterback, and Robertson, and the coach is back. So this should be a very good game. Definitely see points in this one. As Baylor is just, you're not stopping. Auburn doesn't have the defense to stop Baylor. UNLV, Sam Houston, both have new coaches. We don't know. Be careful with that. Dan Mullen, the old Mississippi State coach, is Vegas's coach. Sam Houston has, I don't know, just says new coach. Who knows? Georgia Tech, Colorado. Georgia Tech 4-54. Heinz King's back. I love their coach, Colorado, Prime Jr. What's Prime going to do? Is he going to go coach Cleveland now because Prime Jr.'s there? Colorado home dog. They ended up with a 22 defense. They weren't bad, but, losing Prime Jr. and losing the Heisman Trophy winner, probably not easy to replace. They did bring in a quarterback, I think, from one of these like Tulane's or somewhere he's decent, but he's more of an option guy. So look for him to run, but Georgia Tech sees that all the time. Should be a very interesting game. We'll see how quickly the new quarterback, but he's not a brand new quarterback. He's a transfer who is not too bad. But I always like Haynes King. He's clutch. Interesting game, UTSA A&M. A&M B team last year, 21 defense. They got a new quarterback in Reed, who I think played a few games last year. UTSA love their quarterback, McCown. Both coaches are back. The problem with UTSA is when you play in A&M, you really don't score like you do in conference. Keep your eye on UTSA in conference, but be careful here when they go up in class against a fairly good defense in A&M. It's going to be a little different. Temple, UMass. Why would I mention this game? Temple, the 2-point favorite. They've got the Sam Houston coach. Sam Houston was a very good team, good defensive team. So he goes there, he installs his offense and defense. The quarterback's back for Temple. I don't know if that matters. UMass is a Z team. They're probably the worst team. They got a new coach, a new quarterback. I don't know. This is just a far out one with, if you want to take Temple, I don't know. I might take them, but I haven't decided yet. They both have 35 defenses. Now we're expecting a Sam Houston type defense here, which would be a 23-24, but I don't know if they're ready for the first game. Georgia Marshall, what are we doing here? Georgia Marshall, their head coach went to Southern Miss. The quarterback was very good, went to Southern Miss. 47 players left. I don't know if they're all at Southern Miss. Marshall was a very good team last year. Now look at the other thing. Here's Georgia. Their quarterback went to Miami, so they got the second string quarterback is now the quarterback. But believe me, Georgia's getting 5 stars. That's just what they do. Their defense should be strong. I don't know how screwed up Marshall is. You're laying 39 points in this game. The total of 55.5. I doubt seriously Marshall will get past the midfield. I don't see how Marshall does one drive. The best they can do is either a pick six or like a punt return. Is the only way they're scoring. They're not driving the ball. They're not scoring on my Georgia team. So there's 0 for Marshall. Georgia with the backup quarterback is now the starter. They didn't have a good running attack for some reason, but they're Georgia, the killer defense. So I don't know what to do here. It's a 55.5, but I honestly, this is a hard number because Georgia's not an explosive like Baylor or like Texas Tech or like Alabama. They're not that type of team. They're going to run up the score on Marshall. They're going to grind you out. They're good for 30 something, but I don't know about them scoring 60, and you're not getting anything from Marshall here. So this is a tough game. Let's see. Fresno State, they're all new. I don't know. New Mexico, Michigan. Michigan with the new quarterback Underwear and Mikey Keene. Coach is there. New Mexico, Dampier went to Utah and a new coach. So I don't know what to expect here. Michigan's 36.5. They're pretty good at home against shit teams. The total of is 50. Normally they have a really good team. Normally they win this game 40-0. It's what Michigan does. The first few weeks against the nobodies, they just kind of run it down your throat. They play the good defense. And the crowd goes, let's go blue, and all that stuff. So I don't know. New Mexico is a good team, but now they're all different. We don't know what New Mexico is. Quarterback's gone, coach is gone. So I don't know what we can learn on that game. Tulane Northwestern, interesting game. Northwestern got Stone from SMU as their quarterback now, who is really good. 26 defense. They were a W last year. They're not a good team. They got the same coach, but the regular Fitzgerald's gone for some incident. Tulane was an A team, but they got a new quarterback who's average and a new coach from Troy who's not that great. So I don't know. This will be curious to see. Tulane, be very careful with them right away. Virginia got the North Texas quarterback who is outstanding. So keep an eye on Virginia. They were a W last year. They will not be a W. They will at least be an over. 29 defense. They'll be 29 offense at least. They got Coastal Carolina, who is a 30 defense. Both are new quarterbacks and returning coaches. You got to love the North Texas. And in general, we like North Texas and Tech State. They are explosive teams. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. But this guy should do really well at Virginia. So keep an eye on Virginia. Maybe you give them a week or two. I don't know if they slaughter Coastal Carolina or not, but they should put up points on them. Let's see. Syracuse, Tennessee. Tennessee's got the new coach, the new quarterback from Joey Aguilar from App State. It was okay. It was decent, not too bad. Syracuse has a new quarterback who I have no idea. Both have returning coaches. This is a spot Tennessee will score. It'll be rowdy. It's just the way Tennessee plays at home. Let's see the time of this game. This is a noon kickoff. Well, I was hoping for a night game. It's much more rowdy at night in Tennessee. So this is a noon kickoff. You're laying 14 and a half and 50. I don't know what you're going to get from Syracuse. They had a 29 defense last year. Tennessee had a 14 defense. Now, James Paris is on Atlanta now, who I think will be a very strong team with Penix, Pierce, and the Georgia linebacker. So I think Joey Aguilar, to me, is not a new quarterback. He played. Syracuse quarterback's new. I think Tennessee at home, they played very well there. I don't know. A little high number. How good Syracuse, we'll see. But I think Tennessee's there. Texas, Ohio State, we talked about 2.5, 49 or 48. You got no quarterbacks, and you got killer defenses. So where are you going to get the points? So that's our free play. Toledo, Kentucky, not a bad game. Toledo has their quarterback and coach back. Kentucky's got a new quarterback, some guy from Georgia I never heard of, and the same coach. So we'll see. Kentucky normally doesn't score all that much. They normally have a pretty good defense. Toledo with the 21 defense, they're a good MAC team. They can score. They can play with Kentucky for sure. All right, Colorado State, Washington. Let's fill you in on Washington. Colorado State's an E team with the 24 defense. Quarterback Nicole Nikowski, whatever his name is, the double name, is back, and the coach is back. Washington, the quarterback played a few games last year, is now a sophomore, and the coach from Arizona, Jed Fish, is there. He switched coordinators. I look for Washington to be very, very strong this year. The quarterback is one of these, what's I can say? He's probably like Daniels. He can throw it very well, and he can run very well. So you've got a really strong quarterback, which I saw in watching the Big Ten Network. They were doing Washington, and I'm just kind of not paying attention. And they were all like, this quarterback's unbelievable. He can throw, he can run, he's great. Okay. So let's keep an eye on him. They're laying 19 and a half, total of 52. Now the question is, we don't know Colorado State. Are they going to score on Washington? We can go over. I don't know that they can score on Washington. They have a pretty good defense. So Washington at home, they had a decent year, not great last year. I look for them to I don't know. I got to see my schedule on Colorado State, who they played last year. It's a jump going out of their conference. They're Mountain West going to a Pac-12 team. I think Washington, they want to set, teams like Washington and Tennessee, Michigan, they like to start this season off well, and they get really focused on that first game, and they get the win, get the ball rolling. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Washington come out and light it up against them if this quarterback is everything they say he is, which we think so. Utah, UCLA, Utah 6.5. Utah's an under team with UCLA's a W team. Utah with the 20 defense. They're always going to be great defense with this coach, Whittingham. UCLA, new coaches, 25 defense. UCLA gets a new quarterback, the volleyball player from Tennessee, which I question him. And Utah gets Devin Dampier from New Mexico, and they were a very explosive offense. You combine that with Utah's defense, and they should be an A team. They should win the Big 12 with Dampier and the defense. The defense is strong for Utah, always is. So again, a 20 defense, UCLA at 25. It's at UCLA. Utah's played UCLA a lot in the Big 12, so in the Pac-12, so nothing new there. Nevada, Penn State. What are you going to do? Penn State 45 and a half, 57 and a half total. Nevada with the 28 defense. Penn State 16 defense. Returning quarterback, running backs coach. New quarterback for Nevada, same coach. The problem is the 45 points. I mean, the starters will be out of the game long before then. This is the problem here is the starters. Penn State's got two big running backs, the quarterback. Okay. But what happens is, okay, they're up 31-0, and now we go to half. And now here comes the third. You're not going to see the starters. By the fourth quarter, the third string's in. Are you going to continue score? That's the problem with the 45-point spreads. If the starters played the whole game, they would cover it, but they're not. The coach goes, "Oh, we're up 38-0. Yeah, let's give Joey a chance." So that's really the problem. Is you've got these very thing. Nevada stinks. Penn State should win, but 45, so many points. Going over 57.5 to 51.5. What are you going to get from Nevada? And I don't think a lot with the new quarterbacks. I think it's all Penn State here, but it's a tough number, 45. Ole Miss, we're going to see who the new quarterback is. They got Lane Kiffin back. Georgia State was a W team with a 33 defense. The coach and quarterback are back. Big deal. So we'll see what Ole Miss looks like. They had a great defense last year. Is it going to be the same? We'll keep an eye on Tennessee's defense, Ole Miss's defense, but it's stuff you have to. They're laying 38. Nobody knows who the quarterback is. I've never heard of the quarterback, so we'll see. Lane Kiffin normally runs a good offense that scores a lot, but that's a tough one. Now here's my game. Old Mississippi State, 11.5 and 60 to Southern Miss. Southern Miss was a Z team last year with the 37 defense. Hold it. We've switched. We've now got the Marshall coach. Marshall was a B team with the 23 defense. That's what we're expecting from Southern Miss. But if Vegas uses last year's numbers, we're going to clean up on Southern Miss. They got a really good quarterback. He was 19-2 last year for Marshall. So Marshall's coach comes, brings the quarterback. I don't know how many players. I'm sure a lot. 7 players left Marshall. I'm sure some ended up here. Old Mississippi State, they scored, but they have a 34 defense, which means Southern Miss with this 19-2 quarterback and this coach should be able to move the ball on an Old Mississippi State team. So I would expect some points in this game, but we got to be careful jumping up in class. Southern Miss playing Old Mississippi State, even though they stink, it's still Southern Miss. So how long will it take for the Marshall plan to get enacted and they're able to go? Not really sure. But that's what I'm looking at. So keep an eye on Southern Miss. Keep an eye on Washington. These are going to be our little sleeper teams that we're going to be cleaning up on, along with our Georgia Tech team, who we love betting on. There. Indiana gets Old D. Indiana's 23.5, 54. Old D with the 28 defense. Indiana gets a new quarterback. Mendoza from Cal transferred. They lose Rourke, who was drafted by the Niners. Indy was an A team. They had a 14 defense. I don't see that being this guy's a great coach from who was he coach of? James Madison, and they were great. James Madison's team. So new quarterback, but he's played Mendoza and a very good coach. So Indiana at home, 23.5, kind of a tough number. I think they do cover, but again, it's going to be close. Alabama goes to Florida State. This game's in Florida State, not in the Peach Dome or somewhere. Alabama, obviously, an A team, 17 defense. DeBoer, the coach, great coach with Washington. Florida State was a Z team with Uglia Buglia and a 28 defense. Both quarterbacks are new, and both coaches are not. I love the Florida State coach, but if he's taking Uglia Buglia thinking he's going to win with him, he's not what I thought he was. Alabama 17 defense, Florida State with the 28. But the year before, they had a much better defense. But when your offense isn't on the field long, the defense falls asleep because you just tire them out. We'll see how the Alabama new quarterback is. The system's a great one. Florida State, we got to see how their new quarterback. There's the kid from Boston College. He's okay, but you're really settling. I can't believe Florida State couldn't get a better quarterback. So again, they keep running to experience instead of who's the best. Normally, Alabama comes out swinging and score a lot of, dominate the first game. Normally, under Nick Saban, they win this game by 40 points. We'll see. This is at Florida State. I think Alabama's out to prove something. I think they roll tide. I really do. Bobby's team, LSU, goes against Clemson. Bobby, where are you? We're doing football. LSU's an even team with the 24 defense. Same quarterback and same coach. Clemson, an A team with the 22 defense. Same quarterback and coach. Klubnik against Neusmeyer. Should be a very good game. Clemson 3.5. I think you got a very live dog here. Hey, David, how are you? I think you got a very live dog. In LSU, I think you'll see points. LSU doesn't, they have speed in their second. They'll get interceptions, but I think Clemson can move on them. This is not a game Clemson normally wins. Remember, they got killed by Georgia like 33-3 last year, opening day. So Klubnik played and didn't play well. I'm fine, David. How are you? I think this is a live dog, and I think there's points in this one. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. We got South Carolina an 18, 49.5. It's 49.5. South Carolina with an 18 defense. VTech with the 23. Both coaches and quarterbacks are back. Norris, good running quarterback, needs help passing. It's at South Carolina. We'll see. It should be a good game. Notre Dame, 2.5, 50 to Miami of Florida. Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, went to Miami, which seems, why did he stay at Georgia? Cost him the title when he got hurt on a stupid pass where he clearly didn't see the defense coming and they hurt his shoulder. Not sure if that's recovered. Notre Dame, new quarterback, some freshman. They just named the starter. I don't know. Both coaches are back. Cristobal sucks. Terrible coach. I just think Notre Dame's defense is going to be trouble for Miami. So look out there. Notre Dame's going to run the ball, play the tough defense. And the last game, TCU, North Carolina. TCU 358. TCU's got their coach and quarterback back. North Carolina a new coach called Belichick and a new quarterback. I would assume they'll play good defense with Belichick because that's what he does. Their offense will probably not be very good. So we'll see. So out of that mess, I will look for some locks and some picks. I've already posted of the first 4 this weekend. There's already a pick out, and then it blends in. So you get this whole 2-week as week 1. So if you buy it, that's what you get. Again, if you want to buy the whole year, $750, fine, you'll get it. If you want to make it in payments, $250, $250, $250, you can do that. Just tell me what you're doing. So here's 250. I want to buy the year. I'll give you the second payment X, the third payment Y, and I will give you the password up to the first 250. And then as you pay it, you'll get the next passwords until you fully pay it. And then you'll get the year-end password. But they're all posted, so just buy whatever pack you want. Again, if we go to Teaserking, so there's the website Teaserking, and there's the home, and then over here is purchase picks, and then you just pick you want college, pro college, or both. So most people go both. They want both the pro and college. So there's a big difference. 75 for the pros for the week, 75 college, but only 100 if you want both. So it's only a little bit more and you get both. And they always, if you buy that pack, you always get the locks. So I advise buying that instead of just buying the locks. But some people just prefer the locks. They only want to bet a couple of games. They don't understand how hot I get, and I can go pick 10 games for you, and you're just sitting on the 2 or 3 locks. But if you want to do the class this year is 50. So my friends who were buying the class last year, it's $50 instead of 25. Most of you would pay me 50 for the week for the college and the pro and get those picks. You can still do that. That's fine. So that's what we've got. So that's out there. And so you go, when you buy this, you stay on the link, you pay, you get then here's your password. So take the password. Then you click on this week's football picks, and you're going to type the password in here. So the password you'll get when you pay, and then you just type in the password and hit submit, and you're going to see what I posted. Again, the teaserking.com. Go to the homepage. You can read what people have said and get my email if you need it. If you have questions, feel free. Sometimes it takes, a week to get going. Some people get anxious, like, where's your picks? Well, I haven't posted them yet. So, I recommend to buy Tuesday or Wednesday if you're going to buy, because I post early when I see a game I like before the line moves. So I like post, especially the totals. But some people buy on Wednesday. Where's the picks? Well, I'm not your regular handicapper. I'm a far different handicapper. I actually know what I'm doing, but sometimes we'll wait till Friday until the injuries come out. Cam Rising, as we know. And so then you've got those picks in the system. And that's really what you're looking at is by Friday night, you'll have the picks. Most weeks, I tend to post a few early, and then I will post Friday night. I might post Saturday morning if I hear about an injury that we're waiting on as the guy's playing. And the same thing with the pros on Sunday. I'll post them by Friday night. You should have 90% of my picks, pro and college, in. But in the pros, I will, all of a sudden, somebody gets hurt. Somebody was hurt playing. I will add that, this guy's suspended. Well, I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change my decision, add it. So I might be waiting on a game. Am I going to, who's Cleveland's? Oh, Cleveland starter is going to be Prime Jr. We're betting against Cleveland. Oh, no, it's Flacco. So that's what you do with it. So we go from there. Gold sitting there nicely, 33.44. My guess is it ends somewhere right around there for the day. China's not really buying it, and this is just it's a cyclical. It's like a wheel. It's 33.60 up, 33.20 up, 33.60. It doesn't. It's not moving. Silver, 37.80, will be back at 38, and then it just doesn't seem to want to go from there. So we have that. Let's go back here. So we've covered baseball. See, now I got the signal fine, so I don't know what happened there. So I'm pointing out teams that we're looking at: Washington, Southern Miss, even Alabama we're keeping an eye on, and Florida State. Notre Dame, how good's the quarterback going to be? Georgia. Georgia Tech, we know will be good. Colorado, I'm expecting that too. Boise, so the first 2 or 3 games, you're figuring it out because all we have is last year's games to go by. So we can see what Baylor did. So we can, okay, yeah, they're going to be good. Or, we can see Washington will probably Utah with the new quarter. So you get all these new quarter. The difference now is you're getting experienced quarterbacks. Before, Utah would be, a new quarterback, never played before, some backup, but he might be really good, like Cam Rising was. He was a backup, and then he comes in, the guy's a superstar. So that's what you're looking at. But now it's Devin Dampier is now the Utah quarterback. And certain guys transfer. Carson Beck goes to Miami. Well, you know what Carson Beck is from Georgia. So that's really the difference on certain quarterbacks, with. Before, we used to be able to lock week 1 very easily. We would look for a good quarterback who's back against a weak shit team. But it's a little, the only ones we can kind of do are Clemson, but they're playing LSU. Notre Dame's got a new one. Alabama's got a new one. Florida State's got a new one. Indy's got a new one. Ole Miss has a new one. Utah, Washington's for a little bit, so we've got to see that. Baylor, okay. Texas Tech, TCU, they have their quarterbacks back. So that's what week 1 is. We're looking at that. In the pros, what is going on in the pros? So you got some crap going on here. So the Colts have named Daniel Jones ahead of Anthony Richardson. What's going on there? We know Anthony Richardson should never have been the 3rd round pick. Watch my draft video. But he gets beat out by Daniel Jones, who sucks. Now you got Riley Leonard on the team, and now you got my guy Bean on the team. I don't know. What are you going to trade? Will Colts, are they going to trade Richardson? Really? Who would want him? He's terrible. David, let me read your stuff. Is Texas the best team? Absolutely not. Nice job. Thank you, David. You're the most helpful on YouTube, very knowledgeable. I appreciate that, David. Thank you very much. TK, you like the Raiders? Yeah, I do like the Raiders. I think they need more defense. I'm drinking Verner's because I got some of my ginger in it, and I'm up north, so I wanted to get this. I'm not a big drinker, and I did bring my olive oil and my lemon up, so I had that in the morning, and my Celtic salt. But it's just Verner's ginger ale. I was able actually to find a store that actually had a 2-liter of Verner's. Most of them don't. So no, I don't think Texas is number 1. I don't think they have the quarterback. I think the winner of the Clemson LSU game is there. Alabama and Georgia are there. I don't know about Penn State. They never seem to have that team. They don't have the defense. They always lose to Ohio State. But I don't see Ohio State or Michigan. I think a team like Washington could be there. I think a team like USC has to get better defensively could be there. I love their quarterback. Uh, you know, So it's Alabama, Georgia, LSU. We'll see about Tennessee. They've got the quarterback. Ole Miss, I don't know who their quarterback is. But it's not going to be Ohio State and Tech. Neither of them are number one teams. This is why I hate the ratings, because they're only number one because for TV. So they can say, look, one's playing two this weekend in Ohio State, Texas. Why the game's on at noon, I have no idea. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Kind of fucks up your weekend when you really want to go out. It should be a night game when you're okay. You're in now. Let's watch the game after dinner. But I think it's crazy. What else? So we're talking pros. So this Richardson stinks because the coach and the GM are on the hot seat. They got to win. So when they got to win, so why did the guy draft Richardson in the first place? And he's fucking around with this guy who's terrible. I don't understand it. And to get Daniel Jones to think he's your starter, you've got to be kidding me. What did he show you 5 years at the Giants? What did he ever show you in college? He was at Duke. He sucked. To make this guy a number one draft pick was a joke. And now you paid him all that money, and now it's an even bigger joke. Now he beat out Richardson, who sucked at Indy. I don't get it. It's ridiculous. The Jets coach rips noise after Justin Fields slow. So everybody is saying how he sucks. He does suck. Why is the Jets coach even making a comment? Let him prove it. Fields cannot make the easiest throws. Fields is terrible. He's never shown anything. Well, he was 4-2 at Pittsburgh. He was 4-2 running the ball in close games. He'd run for a touchdown, but he was not a great quarterback. He's never been a good quarterback. Who cares? Aaron Rodgers won't play. Saints. All right. It's between Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shaw, the rookie from Louisville. Okay. You're in big trouble if these are your quarterbacks. You have Jake Hagener. What are you doing to him? He's a great quarterback. Rattler stinks. He couldn't stay at Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. If you got Rattler, you're in trouble. If you're going to start Tyler Shaw, you're in trouble. I don't know if this team can win 2 games this year. All right, you have Kamara and Olave. That'll probably get you a couple. That's it. They're a terrible team. Caleb Williams, other Bear stars will play in preseason. What are they going to play? 1 series, 2 series? Who cares? They're all a buzz because they beat the 4th string of Buffalo. Let's see. Well, let's look at preseason week number 3. Let's take a look at the games. All right, we start Thursday, which is tomorrow. We got Pitt at Carolina. Pitt 4.5, 35.5. Without Rodgers, I don't know. I don't have the pro quarterback list with me. Yeah, you got to be kidding to take Carolina. New England goes to the Giants. Giants 6.5, 37.5. I'll pick these games probably Saturday. Oh, I got to make I've been so hot in preseason. I was 8-1 and 7-1 the first 2 weeks. Just my one loser. So I'm heating up already. Normally I've been looking for live dogs that don't make sense. Giants 6.5, 37. I can't trust, even if Drake May was playing. Philly against the Jets. Here you go. Jets minus 1.5, 34.5. Here's our first play. Take Philly plus 7.5. Let me write that down. They're too good at the Jets. Their first team sucks with Fields. What are they going to do? Who's their second team? They won't be able to beat Philadelphia here. Minnesota, Tennessee 3.5, 37.5. Minnesota's really unorganized. They look like shit. See, I'm a one that believes if you look good in the preseason, you're going to play well in the regular season because you're getting ready for it. And I don't think you can just turn it on. And I think that's why week 1 and 2 are usually suck because these teams just suck. I'm just not buying it. I really Tennessee 3.5, 37.5. I don't like Cam Ward, and I don't really like their backups. So I'm like, how are they going to beat Minnesota? But I don't like Minnesota's quarterbacks. Maybe this is an under, but I'll have to look at it more. That's Friday, Atlanta and Dallas. Dallas 2.5, 36.5. You kind of hope Dak Prescott would play and give you your 2 interceptions. We know whatchamacallit's out or not playing, not even signed. So, I don't know. Atlanta at 8.5, but they're not using Kirk Cousins either, which is crazy. The Bears in Kansas City, KC 1.5, 41.5. You want to bet the Bears in 7.5? Be my guest. I don't know if we're going to see Mahomes. We will see. 1.5, 40. This is a game I have no interest in. KC's didn't play Mahomes last week. I do like their backups. The Bears are trying to win in preseason. It's scary. Who's the worst team this year? Oh, it's Carolina, I believe. Followed closely by New Orleans, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Bears, basically. It's only 7 or 8. Baltimore, Washington. Baltimore 2.5, 35.5. We did see Daniels for one series Monday night. Baltimore loves winning these games. There's game number 2. We'll take Baltimore. Even though it's preseason, that's what I'm talking about. They play to win all their games, even if it is preseason. That's why they come out ready to go. Now, you won't see Lamar, but Cooper Rush is very good. And Lamar needs to work because he's won so many playoff games. The more reps a guy like Lamar gets, the better it is. So I would not be sitting him out on preseason. He needs at least – I would play him a half this week. I'd be playing him at wide receiver also, not at quarterback. Denver, New Orleans. Denver 5.5, 38.5. New Orleans, who the hell? Rattler sucks and Tyler Shaw sucks. So what do you got? I mean, they both, but it's hard to take Denver. They're not going to try. Houston, Detroit 1.5, 34.5. Excuse me. I don't know. What do you do with this? You've got Detroit likes to win. They lost to Miami. Houston, they're backups. I don't know. I need my quarterback list. Well, they don't win in the – see, Baltimore's problem is they think Lamar's a good quarterback, but not in the playoffs. Not when he's playing really good pressure defense. They take the run away from him. See, Lamar's not a good quarterback, but he runs. So you're afraid, so you play a zone, and then they cross in the zone, and he kind of shot puts the ball in, and that's Lamar, basically. You're afraid of his speed. But when you get into the playoffs, like KC just blitzes him. So he's useless, and he turns the ball over. He gets too excited, and he's not a very good quarterback. That's Lamar. He should be a slot receiver. You hand him the ball once in a while, you let him go. He's not going to be a Jefferson or a Chase, but he's going to be like a Anton Randall L. or Hines Ward. They were quarterbacks, but they couldn't play. And that's what Lamar is like. Anton Randall L. He was a option type of quarterback. He was fast, but he wasn't a good quarterback. So in the preseason, Baltimore goes after it, but they don't win because Lamar is not a good quarterback. I mean, it's as simple as that. Harbaugh's too stupid to change it. This is his 8th year, or he's already been there 8 years, and they haven't won shit. They're not going to. They can't beat Mahomes. Because when you look at Mahomes against Lamar, it's not even close. Lamar is not even on his level. Mahomes is so far back. And how are you going to beat Mahomes? Josh Allen can't beat him. How are you going to beat him with Lamar? I mean, are you kidding me? So Burrow is the only one that can beat him. And he's beaten him like 3 times because he's just as good. Or like Philadelphia and Tampa, put pressure up the middle and you won't let him run, and then he's not that good, Mahomes. That's how you beat him, with the big front 4 and or Joe Burrow. Because Cincinnati doesn't have the big front 4. The backup is Cooper Rush, came over from Dallas, played at Central Michigan. He's really good. Not great, but he's really consistent. He's really good. He'll win you games. You have no problem with that. All right, so I don't know about the Lions against Houston. See, these guys aren't trying anywhere, so it's really hard to even pick these. The Rams at Cleveland. Cleveland 739.5. I mean, how do you bet on Cleveland? I like the Rams here. Stenson Benson's been playing well, so the Rams getting 13. I mean, that's my play. Baltimore and the Rams plus 13 this week. That's my preseason play. Are the Lions going to be good? I don't know. They'll have a good offense. They'll have a shit defense. I'm not expecting Hutchinson to do much. He breaks his leg. Don't tell me he just comes back like nothing happened. Are you kidding me? It depends how long he comes back. You got these new coordinators that look shitty. The offensive coordinator looks terrible. The defensive coordinator looks terrible. They're losing to fucking Miami and San Diego in the preseason. That's embarrassing. They're not taking care of business. They're not winning. You play to win, even if it's an exhibition. If it's a practice, you always play to win. Indy at Cincinnati. Cincy 336.5. Joe Burrow, he's been playing that first quarter, and against Indy, so who are they going to play? Richardson or Daniel Jones? I mean, give me a break. Although I do like their backups are better. Riley Leonard and Bean are better than Daniel Jones and Richardson. But they can't figure that out. But Riley Leonard's very good. And Bean's even better. Bean's very good. Watch him at Kansas. He lit you up. That's for sure. So I don't know. You get Burrow, but you get him for the first quarter. Seattle, Green Bay. Green Bay 1.5, 37.5. Against Seattle, regular season game. This would be an interesting game, but here I don't know. I'll take a pass. I think Green Bay. Seattle, maybe you get an over in the game. Jacksonville, Miami, 2 teams going nowhere fast. Miami 3-3. So Detroit made Quentin Ewers look like a superstar. They made Trey Lance look like a superstar. But in the other games, nobody made either of them look like a superstar. I don't know. Jacksonville's terrible. They're both terrible teams. Buffalo, Tampa. Buffalo 2.5, 37.5. They look terrible against the Bears. Are they going to look? They're going to probably look just as bad against Tampa. They're just going through the motions. And my point is, they just don't switch the light and say, "Oh, okay, now it's regular season. Let's go." It doesn't work that way. And if you think you're just going to go out for the regular season and go win, you're out of your fucking minds. Tampa. I love Trask here. I'd say Tampa and 8.5 is a good play with Kyle Trask. So let's play Philly plus 7.5 with Tampa and Kyle Trask. So what am I doing? I'm betting the best backup quarterbacks. Trask, Stenson Benson, Cooper Rush, Philly. McGee didn't look too bad. The Chargers and the 49ers, San Diego 1.5, 35.5. Probably like the Niners and as a dog at home. Why is San Diego favored? They don't have it. What do they got? I mean, Herbert's not going to play. Who's their backups? And Oakland, Arizona 1.5, 37.5. Yeah, I mean, I like Oakland here. So let's go Oakland, San Francisco with our last teaser. Frisco plus 7.5. Oakland plus 7.5. That's your third teaser. So we got Tampa, Philly, we've got Baltimore and the Rams, and we've got Frisco and Oakland are your three preseason teasers for week 3. But more importantly, let's go to week 1 and let's dissect. Philly 746.5 against Dallas. They get the ring. They're going to be, it's a tough to do at week 1 when you get the ring and then you're like, oh, now we got to go play football. You're celebrating winning the Super Bowl. Dallas, however, God, I keep blanking out on my guy. Who's our linebacker? Micah Parsons. That's so frustrating. You know, Micah, you can see him, but you can't say his name. So this guy, I guarantee you, will be signed week 1. He's not going to turn down $20 million because if he doesn't play, he gets nothing. Who in their right mind is not going to play and take 0 instead of taking, even if it's 15 or 20, but I want more. You play this year and then you're free agent or whatever the hell you want. But you do not turn around from $15, $20 million. I guarantee you the Cincinnati guy will do the same thing. So normally Philly rolls here. Barkley and Hurts and the defense. Now they lost some defense, but the key will be who do they, I know they drafted some Georgia guys. It's basically Georgia won the Super Bowl last year. Dallas, Dak Prescott's terrible. Micah Parsons, even if he plays, hasn't really. What kind of shape is he in? So we will see. KC, San Diego, KC 2.5, 45.5 from Brazil. Jacksonville 2.5, 46.5 against Carolina. That's a clash of Titans, huh? The Giants, Washington 6.5, 45.5. That's an interesting game. The Giants are much better with Russell Wilson, Scatterboo, and Neighbors. You have an offense now, and you got to guard against the run and everything. So this will be very interesting. We saw what Daniels can do last year. Dak can't win the big game. He can't win the regular games. So, Dak, he's not a very good quarterback. He's never been he was at Old Mississippi State. He wasn't a really great quarterback. He was okay. He ran the option a lot. He's more of a runner, to tell you the truth. He's not a drop back thrower. That's what they're trying to make him in. He's more of an option, read option type of quarterback. Pitt at the Jets, Pitt 38.5. The JETSs, this is a joke, I think. Aaron Rodgers, you got the Iowa running back and DK Metcalf and a super defense against the JETS's new coach and Fields. Oh my God, that's a joke. Arizona, New Orleans, I don't care who the quarterback. If it's between Rattler and Shaw, they're in big trouble. New Orleans, I think, has a defense, and look for Arizona. I don't know. They have problems. Marvin Harrison stinks. He's not what you think he was because this is not Maserati Marv playing Michigan. Oakland, New England 3, 42.5. Tight game. Miami, Indy. Miami 1.5, 46.5. Now that line hasn't moved considering now it's Daniel Jones. You got to love Miami there, but you got Tag who sucks. Will he get injured in the first game? I can't take Indy with Daniel Jones. You got to be kidding. Cincinnati 5.5, 44.5 to Cleveland. We got Cincinnati does not want to get out to a slow start. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Tampa Bay 1.5, 48.5. I don't know. Atlanta with Penix and the two new defensive ends. Bijan Robinson. They got some receivers. Atlanta could be very, very good this year. 49ers, Seattle. 49ers 1.5, 45.5. Seattle. Good luck with Darnold. Let's see what San Francisco looks like with their new thing. I think they still have Boza. So, I think the Niners are they're gonna be pissed losing, and I don't think Seattle's all that. Tennessee, Denver is a joke. Denver 7.5, 41.5. Houston at the Rams. Stafford is practicing. His back, I guess, is better or good enough. Rams 2.5, 45.5 to Houston. Detroit, Green Bay. Green Bay 1.5, 49.5. Love had minor surgery and was only out for a few. He was just out for a few days, so he'll be there. I don't know. This should be a pretty good game. We'll see. Baltimore, Buffalo. Buffalo 1.5, 52.5. Should be a lot of points, I guess. And Minnesota and the Bears. The Bears 1.5, 43.5. Caleb for a whole game. Good luck with that. Against J.J. McCarthy, you got two very shitty quarterbacks. So that's what we have in week 1 of pros. Those are our college free pick, Ohio State, Texas under. I have already posted the first minor week this Saturday. That's already up there. Baseball, we got Houston 3 units. Miami over 8.5, 2. The JETS's 2, Atlanta 2, Tampa 2, San Diego 2, Philly 2, and Kansas City. We're waiting to see the pitch. If it's DeGrom or one of these superstars for Texas, I'm not betting it. If it's anybody else, then we'll take Kansas City on their win streak. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. The Jets will be terrible. Atlanta's your sleeper team. Yeah. Who's playing Saturday? You got the 4 games, Iowa State and Kansas State from Dublin at noon. And then you got Stanford and Hawaii. You got Western Kentucky. And you've got, I don't know, one other Fresno State and Kansas. So you got 4 games Saturday. And then we start like Thursday. That's chicken and our gold and our silver. Well, it's sitting at 33.45, the gold. So it's not. It'll just be like this the rest of the afternoon. Maybe you get to 33.50 and 37.80 silver, which is a bargain. Steal of the century. But you buy these things, you understand that they're going to be slow. And if you understand they're going to be slow, then you don't worry about why isn't the price moving. It's not a stock. The prices don't run every day. Now, this is a bit unusual. They haven't run since May, where they were running hundreds of dollars a day, and all of a sudden they stopped. As brics is still buying, but the market, but the price isn't going up. I think the U.S. is keeping it down because they realize they better be buying it. So Trump's buying gold. So he wants to keep the price down, and that's the manipulation part. If you short your options on COMEX, you keep the price down, and then since COMEX is used as the pricing mechanism for whatever reason, I have no idea. It shouldn't be. The market should dictate this. This in the market, it's $2.99 or whatever, $2.75. But that's what the market pays for it. So that's what you sell it for. but you don't have the market involved with gold. It's an option. So we're gonna lower the price on our options. What the hell is that? Some guy says it's futures. What the fuck are futures? What do we need futures for? We don't need a future price on gold and silver. We need the actual price on gold. We need the physical price on gold and silver. So it's coming, but it's soon. People are crazy for taking meds for weight loss. One guy told me he had crazy side effects. Oh, you want to lose weight fast? I did a 90-hour fast a week ago or 2 weeks ago now. You lose weight. You just don't eat a bunch of sugar. It's tough up here because I had like toast for breakfast. I had my omelet. I brought my avocado. It tasted terrible. I don't know what happened to the avocados. They're like, I cut them and they're like really soft. They're like kind of rubbery, and you cut into them and they're all, I don't know what happened to them. They just aren't very good. I got them at Meijer's before. I thought they'd be ready by now, but they are terrible. I don't know, but I don't like them. I mean, they don't have a great flavor in the first place, but normally you can, you cut them open and they're green and you eat them and they're like, oh, okay, they're fine. These are like part green, part brown. But yeah, I mean, just fast. Just do a fast and drink your water and stay away from ice cream and cake and stay away from your carbs and your sugars, and you'll be fine. I mean, that's all you need to do. And, don't eat till noon and that. So I have a little problem here because the breakfast is over. Today I ate it at 10, but at home, I don't want to eat till noon. That's when I want to start eating is at noon. So that's the difficulty with breakfast, with vacation time is normally they give you the buffet, but you got to finish it by 10, 10:30, maybe 11. So that's the bad part about vacation. Normally though, here, when I'm in Europe, you can get the eggs and bacon, and then there's the veggies, and then you get the fruits. Here, there's no fruit or veggie with this buffet. It's really weak. There's some bread and bagels. There's some yogurt, which I won't eat. And there's some cereal, which I don't want. But, where's the veggies and where's the fruit? Where's the like bananas and apples? They have like this fruit cup. It's like, come on, give me a break. This is why everybody's dying, all this processed food. It's crazy. Anyway. So we know Russia and Putin met, and so here's what they're saying. A deal is not possible. Russia knows NATO is not serious about ending the war. If they end the war, all the EU leaders get out and they lose their power. So this is about them keeping their power, not saving people and not anything else. It's fucking ridiculous. Hello, come on. And that's the problem. You have this. You have crazies in charge of these countries that want the war to go on to keep power is more important than saving lives. I mean, this is sick. But that's why the Europe and the EU will not end the war. And Zelensky doesn't want to lose. He knows he'll lose power. They'll probably kill him. I love watching these dark origins, Snow White, like they tell you the real. When the guy wrote the things, when the guy wrote these fairy tales, they were much darker than what Disney shows you. So Ford has packed up and they're out of business just about. Ford and GM, the tariffs are killing them. Their costs are going up. They're raising the prices on the cars. That's why I teach markets. They can set the price wherever they want. It's about the market agreeing to the price. Do I need a car? Yeah. Am I going to buy Ford or GM? Never. Okay, I'll pick another. Well, if they're all way too expensive, I'll buy a used car. if I need a car. But thinking ahead, I bought my car in 2018 and I only got 80,000 miles on it because I don't drive it that much because I was working close or was remote. So when I was at Mercedes, I bought it, but then COVID hit and I was remote for 2 years. And then my next job was 5 miles from my house. Then I was remote. And then the last job was 5 miles from my house. So I haven't had that long commute. And anyway, so GM and Ford, they're going out of business. You cannot raise prices because your costs go up. If the market won't take it, you're fucked. And that's what I was trying to explain to the banker yesterday. The banker doesn't, I said, the dollars are worthless. He had a hard time with that one. Get out of the stock market. Cryptocurrency. He said, well, Bitcoin, the dollar will go out and it'll be gold or Bitcoin. No, it won't be gold or Bitcoin. It'll be gold. Bitcoin is not real. Show me what a Bitcoin looks like. Well, it's a computer. And no, it's not real. It's not money. Nobody wants it. Nobody's going to sell it. It can't be used as money because nobody wants to sell it. And then he's like, well, we'll have to go back to the gold standard. You could tell he was a Keynesian. We'd have to go back to the gold standard. Yeah, what was wrong with that? That was the best time of the world was when we're all on the gold standard. It keeps governments in check from spending too much because they can only spend as much as they can. Now, I don't know why you can raise the gold price from 3,300 to 10,000 and then base your dollar on that. But it's basically you go off the gold because you want to go to war, and wars are expensive. The poor banker. Trump ends the Ukraine war. Well, we're hoping for that. Quick Egon one.
The one consolation is that the East and the South, the BRICS countries, are going to come out of this as the phoenix a lot quicker than as the West continues to fall and deteriorate. But got to think about family, got to think about friends. I mean, I'm fortunate to have 2 sons-in-law in the business. I think we are a major company now helping people around the world, wealthy people, to preserve wealth. I think after this, what's going to happen, this collapse now, gold will be one of the major assets that any serious investor will always hold. And that will be for a long time, and they won't hold 0.5% like now. That will be 5 or 10 or 20% they will hold. And remember, gold's been around for 5,000 years, and now after this crisis, it's going to be around for quite a long while before people forget about gold again.
Want to generate unlimited fresh drinking water using nothing but the air around you?
See, that's why we listen to Egon, because he explains it. He explains what's really happening. Most of these other idiots don't have a clue. Final stage, it's over for the U.S. Let's watch this. This is always fun.
I think people are beginning to figure out what kind of staying power do we have. Our financial system is very fragile. We can't sell our debt. We failed miserably in the bond market. Now we're turning to treasury bills and turning over the investments in every 4 to 6 weeks because we can't get anybody to invest in 10 years or 2 years. Nobody wants to buy it anymore. At some point, this locomotive, this debt-financed consumption model that we've used, which has led us to a $37 trillion national sovereign debt. Beyond that, there are probably another 10 to 20 million, 20 trillion in debt in other places that Americans don't even know or appreciate. The fact of the matter is that we're nearing the end, and I think there's a sense that we're nearing the end of this debt finance consumption system. And I think Putin has waited for this to happen. He's done everything he can, along with the rest of the world, to essentially shed debt. BRICS is all about offloading American and Western debt and being debt-free. It's about changing the whole monetary system to something that has real value. Currency, it's backed by something real, gold, maybe other money.
You're not changing the system. You're changing what the system uses. So right now the system uses US dollars, Canadian dollars, British pounds, and all that, euros. And all you're doing, the system is perfect. Medium of exchange, I get paid in X, and I use it to buy Y. That doesn't change. What changes is the lever. The dollar gets out, the euro goes out, the British pound goes out, and what changes is you take that and you change it with a gold-backed currency, not a Bitcoin or a stable coin. Those aren't any good. That hasn't gotten you out of anything. You have to go to gold, and that's what BRICS is doing. They realize this is the way we're changing this, the lever, but the system itself is the only thing that can work. It's a perfect system. They determine what they're going to pay you at work, and they pay you, instead of tangerines, they give you dollars, because then you can take the dollar and use it. We can put a 1 on it and a 10 and a 20. You can go to the grocery store and use it. And that's the whole key to it. That's what you're trying to do. And with that, that's what he means, is they're getting away from using the dollar and they're going to the gold.
Precious metals too, but
I said, well, Lenin said every nation, every state, every government is 3 meals away from a revolution. He was right. When that breaks down, all hell breaks loose. And that's when everybody says, wait a minute, what are you doing in my country? You're not me. You know, why are you drawing all this money? I mean, Germany's got a real problem right now, because I think
I wanted to watch this guy. I don't know who this guy popping in is. I hate these videos when somebody pops in. Now, I know I do it, but I'm explaining it. He's not explaining shit.
Germans have just bent over backwards to pay out incredible sums of money to all of these people that have shown up in the country that nobody there wants. And by the way, they're living infinitely better and drawing more pay than the Germans themselves. So these are huge problems that are coming. And to go back to Putin, I think Putin gets it. I think he knows this is coming. Just as Xi and company, they look at us and they say this thing is falling apart. I think privately, President Trump is concerned about this, which is why he's adopting the measures he is here at home. But in the meantime, overseas, he doesn't seem to have much control. I think the CIA, the State Department, senior military leadership, there's a cabal in Washington that all have an interest in ensuring nothing changes and that we continue to go down this path. I don't think he can do much about it. I feel like we watched European states have all chaos, people questioning Russia, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, see, I want to get to that interview.
Insurance companies don't want you to know this. Homeowners, if your insurance rates keep going up like...
it seems reasonable to me that Trump will stand his ground. But, you know, he's like everybody else in Washington. They're all wishy-washy. They won't just call the spade a spade. They'll say, well, it's back to being a little bit pregnant. Nobody wants to bear that, but they all want to be a little bit pregnant to tell everybody they're with them. I hope not. But that's a perennial problem in Washington.
Now, one of the other things I want to talk about here in terms of what we can expect is based on some of the statements by senior administration officials also yesterday. Witkoff raised a lot of eyebrows, especially on Fox News, when he said that Trump had agreed to potentially he said he had agreed that America could provide security guarantees for Ukraine as part of this. He claimed that Putin had authorized that he had agreed to it. And then later in the day, Marco Rubio was also on TV, and he was asked about the same question. Here's what he had to say.
Any security guarantee that, the Europeans, there's a lot they can do and a lot they can offer. And it would be a huge concession. It would be a very big move by the president if he were to offer a U.S. commitment to a security guarantee. That'll be his decision to make. And I want people to understand that. That tells you how bad, if he does it, it tells you how badly he wants peace. Some more work is required before we can say that we have a plan on security guarantees that unifies us.
Yeah, now, when Shannon Bream asked Witkoff are you talking American boots on the ground potentially for security? He wouldn't answer any of that question and actually changed the subject. So neither Witkoff nor Rubio said what they meant. But I mean, just this phrase, security guarantees from the U.S., certainly raised a lot of eyebrows. How do you interpret that?
I don't know the context for the remark completely. I always go back to the Austrian State Treaty in 1955, and Eisenhower effectively said that we would support that Austrian State Treaty, and he meant that he would respect the agreement that the Russians and the Austrians came to at that point in time. And the Austrian State Treaty has always been in the background of many people's minds. I mean, you remember when I wrote several articles on the subject during the first Trump administration over and over and over again. In fact, before that, I know John Mearsheimer has been talking about it. In 2014, I suggested there be a plebiscite in Ukraine and let those who were Russians vote their way into Russia. All of that was, dismissed, and great luminaries in the Senate like Menendez and Ron Johnson and Lindsey Graham all had heart attacks. All that nonsense. Those people are buffoons. They don't know what they're doing. They have a cocktail level of familiarity with reality. A guarantee, if the United States wants to provide it, and I think the Russians would like to be able to say that we are a participant in or supporter of the final arrangement, whatever it is. And that would be neutrality and non-membership for Ukraine with specific limitations on the size of whatever forces remain in Ukraine, along with the presence, I would think, of a Russian representative on the National Security Council in Ukraine. That, by the way, was the case for 20 years in Austria. There was a Russian representative there, and his entire mission was to ensure that the provisions of the treaty were carried out as promised, and they were. So the best deal that he had ever gotten in his life as a Russian diplomat was to live in Vienna, Austria, and the hell out of the Soviet Union. It was a much nicer place to live, but all he had to do was stand there and guarantee it, and it did. I think we could do something like that, but I think Rubio, once again, is the voice of reason here. He's saying guarantee what, and with what, and how much, and for how long. Those are legitimate questions, and they have to be answered before President Trump steps forward and says, I guarantee it, Let's examine this used automobile before we provide any guarantees. And I think that's really what Rubio was saying. And finally, France, Britain, to a lesser extent Germany, certainly the French, the British, forget them. They're irrelevant to what happens in Ukraine. They're minor powers now. They don't have the military power, let alone the economic strength. Now, Germany right now is a disaster, but it could recover. And if it recovers, the Germans can make a difference. So it would be very good if the Germans agreed to back a neutral solution, an Austrian State Treaty style solution for Ukraine. Again, that's hard for Merz, I think, because he's a globalist. He's part of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and all these crazies that have been destroying Europe now nonstop for at least the last 10 years. But that would be helpful. But the people that must sign on, who are most important, are the states that border Ukraine. So who are they? Well, it's Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Moldova, and Romania. They need to sign on for this. They need to be at the table. Their views count. Nobody ever brings them up. And who are we seeing traipse into the meeting? I mean, look, I like Giorgia Meloni, but Italy, frankly, it's not really relevant to them very much. They don't care. The average Italian is more worried about illegal immigration and the rising criminality as a result than anything else. So who are the people that are most affected by this? They're the ones that need to sit down with Moscow. As I said, and the one exception that doesn't border it but has an interest in this are the Germans. And that would be useful for them to be present and support this. That's what we should look at. The United States can say, look, we'll support this in any way we can, but it may be that we say we can't guarantee it militarily, which is really what everybody's concerned about. Now, in 1955, remember, we had a huge occupation force in Germany, a very large force in very close proximity to Russian forces that were just on the other side of the dividing line in East Germany and West Germany. We don't have that anymore, nor do we need it, nor should we fund it. So we've got to be careful exactly what Secretary Rubio said. Let's sort out what this really means, and then we'll talk about what we can and cannot do. I think Witkoff has less experience in these things and probably spoke too quickly.
Yeah, well, we're certainly going to find that answer later today, too. One of the other things that Rubio said in that interview yesterday, which I'll say a yellow flag, if not a red flag, but certainly got my attention also. And I hope that this is just a comment that he's making for diplomatic niceties or so to say publicly, and not that it's actually believed behind the scenes. Because if it is, we have another level of concern. In this, he's talking about how both sides really need to be on the same sheet of music here.
If you're suffering from blurred vision, the macular degeneration,
warring factions unless both sides agree to give up something and both sides agree that the other side gets something, right? Otherwise, if one side gets everything they want, that's not a peace deal. It's called surrender. And I don't think this is a war that's going to end anytime soon on the basis of surrender.
Yeah, but do they
wrong on that one. That's dead wrong. That would be like turning to us in Tokyo Bay and saying you can't have a peace treaty with Japan until we give up something. No, this is a loss and a defeat of the West, not just Ukraine, of the West by Russia. That's the truth. Now, the Russians are not interested in aggravating anybody. I mean, if they were, they could have, the discussions with Trump would have been much less amicable. The notion that they're willing to discuss in Zaporizhia and Kherson, the renouncing some of the territory that leads to the Dnieper River as a way to get to some sort of agreement, I thought was astonishing. I mean, I don't know that anybody in the position the Russians are in right now would ever do such a thing. So I think that's not accurate. What he really should have said is that we've got to get the narrative straight. And this is why I got upset over the weekend with Marion Lafall, because he's repeating this phony narrative. Russia's the evil aggressor. Russia's been taking all these casualties. Ukraine's really haven't lost. And we just need to end this. So, no, wait a minute. That's not true. Russia was goaded in this fight actively by the United States and its Western allies. It was a horrendous mistake. It has created the very thing everyone said they did not want, a militarily powerful and effective Russia. So it's time to back away from that nonsense and say, what are the security interests on both sides? Can we satisfy both sides? I think you could probably satisfy the Russians, but this man Zelensky and his backers are beyond satisfaction. You can't do it, Dan. You're never going to make them happy. So how do you get them on board? They're not going to get on board. And then we're back to President Trump. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your visit here to Washington today. We are out. We are no longer going to participate in this. We do not regard Russia as an enemy, and I am suspending all aid to the Ukrainian government. If you wish to continue supplying them, that, of course, is your sovereign right. But we will not do that. Let's see how long the Europeans last on their own.
And, it could be that is where Trump's going. Now, I thought he was going to be there before. In this next piece I'm going to play here from that same Rubio interview, it was strikingly similar to one he gave on April 18th of this year, when he implied that we were days away from walking away if we can't get the two sides together. And, of course, the days evaporated, and now here we are months later. But in light of the Truth Social post that Trump made earlier about saying, hey, if you want to keep fighting, implying you can, because you're a sovereign country, as you pointed out, here's what Rubio said yesterday.
If at some point it becomes clear that both sides are so far apart and so dug in that we're just not near a peace deal, then the president will have a decision to make about how much more time do we invest in it and what actions does he take then. But I want everyone to understand, if this morning the president woke up and said, I'm putting these terrible, strong sanctions on Russia, that's fine. It may make people feel good for a couple hours, but here's what you're basically saying. You're saying talks are over. For the foreseeable future, for the next year or year and a half, there's no more talks because there's no one else in the world that can talk to him. Okay, Putin's not going to meet with Macron. He's not going to meet with the UK. With all due respect to these leaders, none of these leaders are going to be able to bring him to the table and talk to them. There's only one leader in the world that has any chance of bringing these two sides together. If there is a chance, there's only one leader in the world that can do it.
Now, I think he's dead right on that there's nobody else that's even wanting to talk to about peace, much less would be able to, like Trump is. But the one thing that's different on this one than from the April one, whereas that he seemed to imply, and how do you interpret this, that if this doesn't go and he does say you guys have it on your own, that he's not going to back it up with these secondary sanctions that he had talked about before?
Well, I hope not. I think all of these sanctions ought to be removed, period. We've got, 32, 33 countries under sanction for one reason or another. This business makes us feel good, but it just poisons the water. It harms people. It doesn't do any damn good for us. What is in the interest of the United States? Again, it is in the interest of the United States that we normalize relations with Russia. Normalizing relations with Russia does not have to mean the total destruction and conquest of Western Ukraine. Never did. It does require us to look at the legitimate security interests of the Russian people. Those right now are bound up with the territories that are occupied.
So we can see it's hard to get a peace deal because all the players don't want peace. We did watch Egon. That's a good one to watch. On that, I showed you his thoughts on crypto. It's the same as ours. They're not real. It's not gold. Gold, the thing. What the banker tried to tell me yesterday, well, gold, it's just like he didn't seem to understand gold was money. He just said, well, it's just the you don't really use the gold. It's just backing the dollar. And he doesn't understand. The reason the gold-backed currency works and the gold standard works is if I want to, my dollar doesn't lose value. And if I want to, I can take $100 and get $100 worth of gold. You can always transfer your money, go to the bank and get gold for it. That's one reason. So you actually have the gold, and the gold's actually backing the dollar. And what you have now is nothing backs the dollar. And the Bitcoin and the stable coin is not worth anything. The difference is they're not worth anything. Gold is. That's what the banker was struggling with, was that the stable coin and Bitcoin have a value. He's like saying, well, because people believe it has a value. No, it doesn't have a value. They're not limited. What are you talking about? He doesn't understand money. He's a fucking banker. Gold is gold because people understand it is money and it backs the currency. That's the point of gold. It backs the currency. And if you don't have it, if you don't have anything backing your currency, the currency is worthless, which is what kind of Bitcoin and stablecoin are. There's nothing backing it. That's why I'm against Bitcoin. What's backing Bitcoin? Nothing. Well, then why do I want to hold it? So it's ridiculous. All right, I'm going to end it here. So we did baseball. College football is live now. You can go to teaserking.com. Buy this week. You get this week and next week in the college. The following week then would be, now you can buy college and pro for the $100 and get that. You can buy the season in payments or just $750. You can, if you just want to buy the pros, it's $500. If you just want to buy the college, I think it's $599. Yeah, that's like $600 college, $600 pro for the whole year. And then now we got these college football playoffs and all this, and then the pro playoffs. So you get all that included. And again, if you buy any of the packages, you get the locks included. So you don't need to buy the locks and the pros. Just buy the pros, you'll get the locks included. The locks really is just if you only want locks. And I have guys that just want to bet. I just want to bet $1,000 on your best play. That's what they want. I just want the best play. And they don't realize that I put it, let's say I lock Minnesota. Well, it could go in 2 or 3 teasers, but they're not all locks, except for Minnesota is the lock. And that's what you got to, that's why you buy the package. You get the whole week because then you get the lock as it's played. And because I've been doing teasers since 1977, if you just played 2 teasers with 4 teams, you're not going to win because you're going to win one and you're going to go 3-1 most of the time, win one and lose one. You don't make any money. And that's why when you find that good pick, this Ohio State, Texas under, when you find that, You wanted a multiple teasers because it makes sense, because that's your play. That's a good play. It makes sense. Two good defenses, no quarterback. Should be a low-scoring game. Once you find it, and you don't always find it, but once you find it, you play it multiple. But not every play is a lock. I guess in my thinking is the lock would be, Detroit and Chicago are my lock. They're not, but I'm just saying. And then, but if I play Detroit or Chicago again, they're not a lock in every play. Only in the one play they're a lock, and the other plays are just strong plays. But because I like the team and I like the play, I want to play it multiple times. That's kind of the point of it. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm going to go out and enjoy. It's sunny out. I'm going to go enjoy the beach, and I'll probably run to the golf course again and just enjoy. So have a nice day. I will talk to you. I don't know if I'll do a class Friday. Checkout time's 11. I'll probably hang around here. No hurry to get home. And then, so I don't know that I'll do class Friday. I'll do class tomorrow, and then I'll be home Friday night, so I'll do class Saturday. So anyway, www.teaserking.com. Have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.